So I thought, because June is perennial gardening month and we're winding down for this season, I thought I'd kind of do a video and walk everybody through what we have here at the nursery. And I'll start right here with the ajuga, which is a great ground cover. This is Burgundy Glow. Beautiful color throughout the whole growing season. Nice blue flowers in the spring. It is pretty vigorous and it will take over an area easily, but it's a great ground cover to hold the soil and give you some color. Over here, it's a new variety of Shasta daisies that we got in, and I just can't get over the size of the blossoms and how sturdy they are. This is Highland White Dream. I just love those flowers. And for some midsummer color, there'll be the Liatris, which is just budded. This is a classic perennial. And next to the Liatris is Perovsky, or Russian Sage, which will give you some midsummer color also, that great blue. These are all wonderful for full sun. And then over here we have our Heuchera, which is Blackberry Ice, which is still blossoming. It's mainly grown for the foliage though, as you can see. It's just terrific burgundy color. And here we have two cousins. This is Tiarella, Sugar and Spice, which is great for the shade, even though it's really sunny here right now. It's great for the shade garden underneath trees. It'll prefer it better. This will be shady here in a couple of hours, so no worries, it won't get the hot afternoon sun. And next to it is a cousin, which is Heucherella, Catching Fire, which is actually a cross between a Tiarella and a Heuchera, or Coral Bells. And that's also great for the shade. And that yellow coloring it really pops out. And we have a few little blossoms left on the cranesbill, or the geranium. And I don't do a lot with hostas. I do have some throughout the gardens. But this year I just couldn't resist Brother Stefan and Big Daddy. And I love their flowers. I know a lot of people will cut the flowers off. But some of them are fragrant, and I like that white coloring. And then we have our astilbes, and as we go up through the gardens, I'll show you some more astilbes. This first one here with the dark red foliage and buds is Delft Lace. And those dark red buds will open up to a pink flower, which will be just spectacular. And next to that is another tall astilbe called August Light, even though it won't be blooming in August, but it really has some beautiful coloring to it. And we're slowly getting into some ferns, and this is a beautiful maidenhair fern. It needs a little more shade than what it's getting here, but it'll be transplanted into the garden where it will get some more shade. And then we have the cinnamon fern, and this plant here is spectacular. This is Simicifuga, and it's budded. It's a great shade plant. I love the purple stems. And then over here we have some more ferns. We have the ghost fern, which will lighten up the shade garden. And then we have Godzilla, which is a painted fern, and it will get up to 3 feet tall, which I'm really anxious. I can't wait to see it get that tall. And then these are some late blooming perennials. You know, everybody is in May and June, they get their perennials in that are blooming, and they forget about August, September, and even into October. So here we have an anemone honoring Joe Burt, and beautiful white flowers. And on our Facebook page, I'll try and post pictures of them as they come into bloom. And behind that is another astilbe, Pumila, which will be one of the latest blooming astilbes, and it'll have purple flowers on it. But right now we have a nice Lychnis coronaria with the white flowers. They'll have a little blush of pink to them. And here's a great ground cover. This is dwarf goat's beard. I love the foliage, and in the spring it has bright red stems, and it looks like little Dr. Seuss trees when it's coming up. It's really beautiful. Very, very hardy. And here is another mid to late summer perennial. This is True Blue Gentian. And when it says true blue, it really means true blue. There's no color on it yet, but there will be. It's budded, so it'll be blooming in August into September. And behind there we have some pink veronica, and of course sedum, and another tall pink veronica called Perfectly Picasso. So we have a lot of color going on here. We have some white bleeding hearts that, the rain and the sun are kind of getting them a little tattered. We've had a lot of rain here. Next to them is a Heuchera Coral Bells Berry Timeless. This variety, it just keeps going. It just keeps blossoming and blossoming. Once it starts, it's really a great variety to have in the garden. Takes full sun or part shade. Really, really nice. And across here we have Persian Blue Nepeta, or catmint. The honeybees and the bumblebees love this catmint, or any of the catmints for that matter. And it blossoms almost throughout the whole summer. Next to the catmint is an Allium Medusa. This is another late summer perennial, and it's budded. It'll have pom-pom type flowers, a lot like chives, but much bigger. And it'll be blooming August into September. So if you don't have a lot of color, then now's the time to pick up some things up. Here's a Coreopsis moonbeam, which is just coming into flower. Blossoms for a long time throughout the summer. Next to that is a Betony, or Stachys, called Humolo. And if you deadhead this, it'll just keep coming back. And one of my favorites is the lavender, and the honeybees are finding it, the bumblebees are finding it as it's just starting to open up. The fragrance is wonderful. I see a couple of honeybees on it already this morning as the sun's hitting it and getting everything flowing here. This is one of the hardier lavenders for this area. It's Munstead, and it's just amazing. So here we have a yarrow called Moonshine. It's a nice yarrow with a silvery foliage to it. And behind that we have some delphiniums, which are kind of going by, but they still have a little color. And this is Coreopsis, and the little bees and the pollinators are really liking that too. And then we have butterfly weed, which is just budded. I'm anxious to see what that's going to look like. And over here we have a Monarda, or bee balm. This is grape gumball. Next to that is one called Cherry Pops, which is just budded, but grape gumball is beautiful. And these are dwarf varieties of Monarda, so they don't get quite as tall as the traditional red. And then we have a coneflower, a white one coming into bloom. So these are some of our potted perennials. We have lots of color, lots of foliage, and you need to think about foliage when you're thinking about your garden. So we'll take a walk up through and we'll take a look at the astilbes up here in the gardens, which we do dig out of. Here's another Coreopsis called Zagreb. It's more of a golden coloring to it, and it spreads a little bit more than the moonbeam, but it's still a great perennial to have. Lots of color in midsummer. And this is Silver Mound Artemisia, which is another wonderful perennial, just to give you some color and texture in the garden. And this is a yarrow, Coronation Gold, very tall, not quite open yet. I'm really pushing the envelope with these gardens because we get a lot of shade here, and even though these perennials like full sun, sometimes you have to deal with what you got. And this is an echinacea, talking about not having enough sun, but this is much happier than where it was in the shade garden. This is Echinacea Sundown, and it'll have a beautiful reddish orange flower to it. And our daylilies, which are budded. And then this is Jacob's Ladder that I started from seed last year, and it's doing really great. I'm really excited about that. And our goat's beard, which is coming along, a couple more years and it'll be huge. We started this from seed last year too. And our blue campanulas. I'm not much on grasses, but this grass is Carl Forrester, and it is spectacular. It does not go to seed. It's very graceful, and those plumes will turn a beautiful peachy color. And these are some of the lavenders that I've wintered over here. This is Munstead, the same as what was in the pots down below. And there's a few weeds coming. We've had lots and lots of rain. Everything seems so big and lush, even the weeds. This is Gypsophilia, or baby's breath, and they're doing great. They're budded. And there's the salvia. And here is another gentian, like True Blue down below, but this is called Blue Cross. And this is a low-growing gentian. Blooms about the same time. It'll be later on this summer, end of July into August. It is budded. You can just start to see a little bit of blue there. Likes part shade, doesn't really like a lot of hot sun. Seems to be really doing well here. And here's Echinacea powwow wild berry. Now I know where it got its name from. This variety is incredible. Stays very compact, lots and lots of blossoms on it. And behind me here, we have Astilbe. This Astilbe is so happy in this spot. It gets part shade. The soil is amended a lot. We have goats and a cow and chickens, and so we've put all our own compost on this garden. It used to be our vegetable garden, and now it's our selling garden with the perennials. And this is Bressingham Beauty, and it is spectacular. And the smell, it has such a sweet fragrance to it too. Next to that is Campanula Runneri, and the flowers on this are so pretty. I love the combination. Even though it's flopped over, I haven't staked it. I should, but there's a honeybee enjoying it. Then we have a white Astilbe. And this Astilbe here is called Peach Blossom. Similar to Bressingham Beauty, but a little bit lighter. Very sweet smelling. And then we have a geranium, Roxanne, and then we have a renegade campanula in there. Looks like Campanula glomerata, which it's just decided he was going to grow there. This Astilbe here is a later Astilbe. This is to have and to hold, and it'll be a deep pinky lavender color, and it's one of the later ones. It's even later than August Light. Beautiful, very tall. Be great cut flower for arrangements. And I even use the foliage when I'm doing flower arrangements. I'll use the